Today News Update.
From the Barbados Today newsroom, this is your evening news update for Tuesday, August 16. So glad you could join us. The island's taxi operators and fisherfolk are on board with the new cap on gas and diesel at the pump. On Monday, Prime Minister Mia Mottley announced that gasoline will be capped at $4.48 per litre, while diesel will be capped at $4.03 starting Friday until January 31, 2023. A news team spoke to several taxi operators in the city today, and they are glad for the relief, but they say it will take more to improve their livelihoods.
Capping the gas is really good, but I don't think it make a big difference. It ain't gonna make a big difference. But every little help, you're thankful for.
I do believe that the government should cap it in a way that taxi men who drive from St. Thomas and Luce to Bridgetown to apply the trade don't get a job, then gotta go back home as gas using. You understand me? A lot of people don't see it, and the tariff hasn't raised. Every job we get here to the hospital is $10. You do two of them, that's what you get per day. So you can imagine, you don't need to be a rocket scientist. No, $20 gas support you. You know, good for me, I'm a pensioner. So that's how it's subsidized. But the young taxi drivers here, a woman and two children, they're rough.
I feel all right about it because I don't want to raise the money in a hurry. If you get where you're coming from. If you got a stabilized price, you could budget to suit. When you got prices going up, but now in time, that's a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how have the gas prices been affecting your industry so far this year from your point of view?
Well, they really affect us heavily. The reason, okay, let me explain something. The government take off road tax off of private vehicles. But cars that making money like a taxi or a ZR got to pay road tax, right? So when you raise the gasoline, we got two expenses extra to the private man. Not only that, wear and tear with the roads mashing up with suspension and all that there. You got to buy parts, and the parts don't be cheap, especially for certain kind of cars. So right now I just pay my insurance, but the man, I can't afford to pay that at one time. So that's how the story goes. But I am in favor with what the Prime Minister did by 100%.
To be honest, it is not like before. Things are very slow, and the gas price is very high. We're still working for the same money. For instance, from Bridgetown to the garrison, we only get 20 Barbados dollars, and the price of diesel is $4.08 per litre. We are looking at $16 and change for a gallon. What is a gallon? There's nothing there. Personally, I think that the taxis operator and the route taxis, we pay VAT at the pump. I think that the VAT should take off, because when the year comes, we still have to pay for all our taxes, and then we have to pay half of the money to the government.
Over at the Bridgetown Fish Market, Donville Brathwaite, who has been a fisherman for 30 years, says he will save thousands of dollars.
I think it's a good idea. I think it's going to ease the burden tremendously, because I know with that deduction in price, I'm going to save about $3,000–4,000 on my diesel bill. So I think it's a very good idea, and I hope it don't stop in January. It continue a little longer to ease some of the pressure that fishermen really going on there right now. Right now, my diesel bill is about $12,000, and if I could save at least $4 off of that, I would be happy. I know I can't get no more, but I'll be happy with the $4.
In other news this Tuesday, Barbadians are demanding tighter scrutiny over investments made by the National Insurance Scheme and stiffer penalties for employers and self-employed persons who fail to honor their commitments. That was the consensus on Monday evening at a town hall meeting held at the Combermere School, where the NIS's top brass took suggestions from the general public on the way forward for the scheme, which is at risk of being depleted in 12 years.
Is there any way for us, Barbadians who have contributed to the scheme, to recover those funds? Because that is part and parcel of the problem. We cannot be putting money into a fund, and every time the government has an issue, they dip into the fund. Because at the end of the day, when you dip into the fund, you dip in from money from the citizens. We didn't tell you that you could dip. No one asked us if you could dip. But now you're here and you're asking us for solutions to a problem that you guys created. We didn't create this problem. We are law-abiding citizens who contributed faithfully to a scheme, thinking that when we get 65, you move the table to 67, that we're assured a pension. It's not fair.
I believe that the first thing that has to happen, no matter how strong the board is that the 10 years without audited financial statements is unacceptable. We need to know what the position is. I heard the Auditor General say that not only is PAYE, no, isn't right, that national insurance is paying dead people. That I have a problem with. I believe that if there is an audit and things are put in perspective, we will be able to move forward from a better position.
I have a concern with the fact that money was borrowed from the NIS and not paid back. And I feel that somebody should be held responsible for that. With KIPO, if as a small business person, you have to submit your financials every year. And if we have a national insurance department and all of these top people inside there and we cannot get audited reports on a regular basis, then somebody should get fired. That's how I feel. At this point, I feel that legislation should be put in place that no more money should be borrowed from NIS for the next 12 to 15 years, unless it is for investment purposes.
Actuary Derek Osborne underscored the need for better management of the fund.
We have to find a way, as she said, to ensure that governance, I mentioned good governance earlier, right? And I think it really relates to good governance and strong boards. So if there is a phone call from a minister or pressure from the government to lend some more money beyond what your limits say is acceptable, you say no, right? And I think, so we have to find a way to have boards and leaders that are going to be responsible and ensure that the funds are borrowed and invested wisely.
Barbados' tourism product is in need of a major overhaul. That's the view of tourism consultant Dr. Kerry Hall as she spoke during a webinar last evening to mark the 70th anniversary of the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association. She made clear that visitors are demanding more and Barbados has the capacity to deliver, but it's time for the country to take ownership of the sector.
We should be teaching the world, but teaching the world on our terms, right? So no longer can it just be a tourism industry that is a foreign entity run by foreigners for foreigners. It's now our industry, and we need to take ownership of the industry. And we need to develop an industry that benefits all, that is 100% uncompromisingly Bajan, right? Because our authentic, immersive industry where the Barbadian people are at the epicenter. And we could do it. And that's the way we're going to change the mindset of the Barbadian people, by opening that dialogue and letting them see themselves reflected in the Barbados tourism mirror in a way that is not happening now. So even though they understand it's important, they still feel a disconnect and it's death for tourism. Poor tourism. If we do it differently, right? And we create pathways for our artists and our artisans and our people to showcase their supreme talent to the world. But first we gotta believe in Barbados.
Regional and international news coming up after this short break.
Pure oxygen is way more than just water. We infuse pristine water with over 1 billion tiny oxygen bubbles using our state-of-the-art process. The benefits of additional oxygen are huge, from strengthening your immune system to increasing energy levels, stamina, and sports performance. And that's not all. It also improves skin health, helps you sleep better, and reduces stress. Join the movement of people experiencing the benefits of pure oxygen. It's not hype, it's science.
On the regional scene, a new man is in charge of the Guyana Elections Commission. Former Government Minister Clement Rohi is on a mission to transform the commission so it can better serve Guyanese.
Newly appointed Commissioner of the Guyana Elections Commission, Clement Rohi, has his ambitions set on improving professionalism within the electoral body, not only in its composition but also in the conduct of the execution of its mandate.
Professionalism in GCOM, as it is in any institution that has to do with good governance and democracy, is extremely important. And I would want to help to make a contribution to ensuring that the staff, the secretariat, because this is what you call the machinery that actually the country depends upon, that people, that the electorate looks forward to ensure that the free and fair elections are held.
Rohi stressed that it is of utmost importance for the staff, especially those on the ground on Elections Day, to be professional in their conduct of their activities and in their attitude towards people, as certain perceptions tend to emerge at polling stations.
The face of GCOM is not so much the commissioners, it's more the staff. Because on the ground is the staff that represents GCOM. It's the GCOM official, so to speak, that is the face, the public face, so to speak, of how people perceive elections in Guyana.
On the international front, U.S. President Joe Biden signed the Democrats' landmark climate change and healthcare bill into law on Tuesday.
In Kentucky, President Joe Biden toured the damage from the latest climate catastrophe. While back in Washington, signs of optimism the U.S. may still avoid the worst impacts of a warming planet after Democrats passed the most substantial legislation on climate in U.S. history.
We've changed the world in a way that you rarely get an opportunity to do that.
And the bill, as amended, is passed.
It took a marathon 22 hours of voting to pass the so-called Inflation Reduction Act, fulfilling Biden's signature promise to spend hundreds of billions of dollars on climate and health care, paid for by tax increases on the largest corporations. Every single Republican objected.
The bill's title shows you what it is. It's an Inflation Increase Act.
The bill includes $369 billion in incentives for clean energy programs, including tax credits encouraging American consumers to buy electric vehicles, including EVs built in Canada.
There's just a variety of investments here that make a lot of sense if what you're trying to do is spark clean energy innovation and also create the sort of government funding that will help attract private funding.
It all puts the U.S. on a better course to meeting its emission reduction promises. The spending could help cut U.S. emissions to about 40% below 2005 levels by the end of the decade, though still shy of commitments under the Paris Accord.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook. Sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Azumi Media bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.